Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. So just like some previous videos, this one is 2 stories and both of them have updates. Now let's get started with the first one. This post is from the subreddit True of My Chest, and it's by user Throwaway Wedding Night. My husband got jealous over the girl he led on for years at our wedding. I, 25 female, got married to my husband, 24 male, we'll call him Jim, a week ago, after dating for 2.5 years. Jim has a friend called Misha, 22 female, who was invited to the wedding. He and Misha have known each other since high school and were close friends, and Misha had a very obvious crush on Jim from what he and others who know them have told me. Jim told me this after I met Misha for the first time, and he confessed that he leaned into her crush and led her on throughout their high school years and for a little while after graduation. He said this was before we got together, and it was because he was struggling with his mental health and he really liked her attention. He seemed genuinely guilty about all of that because he thought Misha was a nice girl and a good friend, and because he showed guilt, I didn't feel the need to bring it up or argue about it despite thinking it was a crappy thing to do. Plus, Misha is a nice girl who has never overstepped boundaries and has been nothing but kind and friendly towards me, and I now consider her a friend too. Anyway, Misha moved away to the city last year and has done really well for herself. She now has a long-term boyfriend who none of us have met yet, so when it came to sending wedding invites, I told her she was welcome to bring him as her +1. The first red flag came when Jim was weirdly resistant to the idea of Misha bringing her boyfriend, but he excused it on being concerned about the number of guests we invited, and the matter was dropped. Then, when the wedding day came, Misha showed up in this beautiful dress, nothing inappropriate for a wedding, and with her boyfriend on her arm, who, I'll admit, is a very handsome guy. Think a Kit Harington type. She's also lost weight and has a haircut that suits her better, and I thought she looked great. We also found out throughout the night that her boyfriend is very successful and earns more than practically anyone else who attended. Throughout the reception, I noticed Jim glaring at Misha and her boyfriend the whole time, and he was really cold and short towards her when she came over to congratulate us and give us a gift. He was also straight up kinda rude to her boyfriend when Misha introduced him. When his mom, who's always known and liked Misha, mentioned that she was glad Misha found a great guy and praised her boyfriend for being so nice, Jim snapped that at least she won't be desperate and hung up on me for the rest of her life. Which I thought was cruel and uncalled for, but I didn't challenge him because I didn't want to argue at my wedding despite the fact that he frankly sounded bitter. The whole thing has left an awful taste in my mouth, and I can't help but think that Jim got jealous that Misha has found a guy who's honestly quite a catch, who she's clearly very in love with, and is now completely over Jim. Well, OP, I have to say that your assessment sounds absolutely right. I know I'm not a pro, but it sounds like your husband has insecurity issues and is a huge douche for what he did to Misha, regardless of his mental health. I'd say that a general rule of thumb should be that stringing someone along to help make you feel better about yourself is not a nice thing to do. And then act like a child just because he's got "I can't believe you got over me" syndrome during his wedding? That is a red flag to me. I believe he needs to come to terms with himself, apologize to you, Misha, and her boyfriend, and work on his self-esteem. And what do you guys think about this whole situation? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Amson09 says, "You're definitely right in feeling disgusted with the way he treated Misha. I'm sorry, OP, but you need to split up with your husband before you get trapped with a baby. I'm honestly worried with the way he acted with Misha. Are you sure he wouldn't even act like that with you? String you along, I mean? Anyways, I'm kinda leery if he really went to therapy. No guy who felt guilty would react like that if the girl they made a fool of suddenly, God forgive, got their own love life. Ish. It's clear your husband reacted like that because no one would feed his poor ego now. He's frankly pathetic and an a-hole, a massive one even. Again, I'll say it, please leave your loser of a husband, but make sure you stay friends with Misha because she sounds like a great woman." Ishuri says, sounds very much when people like getting attention from the opposite sex or sex they are attracted to, even if it's in a friends group, and become rather possessive over that attention, even at the cost of their friends' happiness and their own. I don't think he has any romantic feelings for her. It sounds like he thrived at the idea of her showing him attention and knowing she had feelings for him and taking advantage of the situation. Insecure little man by the sounds of it. He seems to have wanted to be the center of her attention forever without any obligation towards her. What an ass. You deserve better. See if Misha's boyfriend has a brother. John2214 says, Reddit as usual brings in the divorce army. This was crap behavior on his side, but people are complicated. He has feelings for Misha, but having feelings doesn't always mean wanting to act on them, and there isn't always a clear cut between platonic and bro relationship and a full-blown romantic relationship. Misha definitely served a purpose for him as someone who boosted his ego and self-worth, but an ego boost isn't really a reason to keep someone that close for so many years. There is more to that relationship. It seems more like he's mourning his perceived loss. She looks different, moved to the city, and is now admiring someone else who on paper seems more successful. Your husband seems a bit immature. He's also still pretty young. Let the wedding cool off. Have a serious chat about why he acted this way. See if there is a mature person in there that can be honest about their feelings. You guys love each other, and people who love each other truly don't throw away that love at the first challenge they face. Good luck, OP. Additional information from OP's comments. I'm struggling to understand his feelings, to be honest. He said he never responded to Misha's crush, so I don't understand why he can't just be glad she found somebody. His behavior during our wedding felt a lot like watching a kid get upset at another kid for playing with a toy they personally never wanted to play with in the first place, if that makes any sense. He's definitely always been quite insecure, but I thought it was something he was really working on and making progress with. I guess I was wrong. OP's have update. After getting some PMs from people, I decided to go through his phone while he was napping after work. I'll post a real update when I have sorted everything out. Okay, well, the community gave OP some very different perspectives to think about, and apparently OP has already done something about it, which is snoop on his phone. So now, before moving on with the update, I'll tell you about the playlists really quick. Here's another one with only videos that have updates. Now, let's move on with that update to see how this story ends. Hey everyone, I'm posting this here because I said in my last post that I would update when I was able to. Pretty much the day after my original post, I got some PMs from people suggesting that I go through my husband Jim's phone to see if he and Misha were truly just friends before this, and that nothing romantic happened between them that would explain his reaction at the wedding. He always takes a 45-minute nap after work, and so I used that as my opportunity to swipe his phone from where it was charging on his desk so that I could look through it. I've seen him put his passcode a ton of times, so that wasn't an issue. I didn't find anything in his texts with her, but I know that Jim goes on Instagram a lot, so I checked there too. The immediate red flag was that he'd used an app lock that required a passcode to access Instagram, but the dumbass used the same passcode that he used to unlock his phone, so I got into that right away. It's his birth year, go figure. And what would you know? I got to his messages with Misha and find messages from him the morning after our wedding telling her how beautiful she looked that night, how much she'd missed her, how he felt that her boyfriend being there spoiled his opportunity to catch up with her, and that he was desperate to meet up with her. Misha never replied to these messages, and he sent some more to her later that day. I won't get into what he said because they were very personal insults that were frankly just gross, but just think about the kind of stuff you would read on the Nice Guys subreddit. Misha left him on red, and when I clicked on her account, it appears that she blocked him. I scrolled through their messages quite far back, and I believe nothing romantic has ever happened between them. I wish that was all, but looking into his other conversations on Instagram, I found out that he's been messaging other girls on there as well. They seemed like aspiring Instagram model types from our area. Most of these conversations was just him shooting his shot and getting left on red, but others have evolved into flirting, and 2 of them resulted in sexting. And the most embarrassing part of all, the nudes he was sending to these women weren't even of him. I know what his body looks like, and he doesn't have chiseled abs and isn't that well endowed. I think he must have found a man's profile on some adult website and used those pictures, just cropping the face out. These two conversations happened in the past 6 months. I ended up texting his mom and his brother from my phone, asking them to come and pick him up from the apartment, and then I went to wake him up. I told him that I knew about the girls he was messaging on Instagram and that he needed to pack a bag and get the hell out before I started throwing his stuff out onto the street and causing a scene. He started crying and begging me not to kick him out and swore that they were just messages and that he would never actually cheat on me, but I don't believe him for a second. Then he had the nerve to tell me that he didn't want me to tell anyone else about what he'd done, but I had left the room and started ignoring him by that point. He left with his mom and brother and is staying there from what I know. I've blocked him on everything for the time being until I'm ready to tell him that I'm seeking an annulment. Thankfully, where I'm from, you can get almost no questions asked as long as you haven't been married for longer than 30 days, and I've already looked into the process. I haven't really left my apartment at all this week, and I've been calling in sick to work because I don't feel like I can face people. I'm just so embarrassed that I've wasted over 2 years on this man and that I married him in the first place. I don't feel like I can even talk to people about this. So posting here has helped, and I'd like to thank you all for your kind words, advice, and support. I might reach out to Misha when the dust is settled, but I think I'll need to build up some courage for that. Well, it turned out that OP's husband was a huge creep. OP, I'm sorry that you married this guy in the first place, but at least you found out in time so that you can get an annulment from what you say. So that's a good thing. It's just 2 years, but you broke it off. So good for you, and here's wishing you all the best in the future, OP. Thank you for sharing and take care. Now, let's move on to the next post that, like I said, also has an update. This post is from the subreddit Am I the A-hole, and it's by user Queen Fairy. Would I be the a-hole for not telling my mom that my stepmom is adopting me? Sorry, I'm on mobile, so I, 24 female, do not have a good relationship with my bio mom. Our relationship is tolerable due to her living a couple of states away, and we really only talk once or twice a month. I have a very good relationship with my dad, and we are extremely close as a result. My dad will be officially marrying my stepmom before this year ends, but she's been in my life since I was 13 or 14 years old. She has always been like a mother to me, even when she and my dad weren't together anymore. They were broken up for a few years and got back together almost 3 years ago, and I view her as my mom, her daughters as my sisters, etc. I want to honor her as my mom, and she's more than happy to adopt me, so we'll be moving forward with the process soon. I don't plan to tell my bio mom beforehand because I kinda don't want to deal with it. I would, however, make the announcement via social media once everything is official, and my bio mom would be finding out that way. Where I live, the bio parents don't have anything to do with the process once it's an adult adoption, so would I be the a-hole if I say nothing to my bio mom beforehand and just let her find out about my adoption via social media? Well, OP, based on the information that you give us, I would think no, you're not the a-hole. You tell us that you feel like your stepmom is a mom to you. You love her that much. You also say that you don't get along with your bio mom or that you haven't ever had a really great relationship with her at all. So I don't think you would be an outright a-hole if you didn't tell her. However, I believe that you're asking because kinda somewhere in there you do feel a little bit like an a-hole, of course. Unless you think she would like start up some sort of drama storm, then maybe for your own conscience, just tell her. You're not inviting her to debate your decision with you, you're just letting her know what you're going to do. That's it. But again, and overall, I wouldn't pin you as an a-hole if you didn't tell her. And what do you guys think? What is your judgment in this situation? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Elegant Rectum says, no a-holes here, but I think you should tell her personally before you announce it on social media. I mean, you say you don't have a good relationship with her, but you still talk to her monthly, which means she has some role in your life. You aren't no contact with her. I assume you care about her to some extent as a human being, if not as a mother. So I think it would be better if she doesn't find out online. And OP responds, I'll take this into consideration. We've had periods of no contact before, which I've always been okay with, but she always ends up wanting contact again, which I don't mind as long as it isn't detrimental to me. I care about her like I would an associate, I guess. My stepmom is the one I consider to be my mom, my son's grandmother, etc. Obama's persona says, not the a-hole. A lot of people mistakenly assume that family is who you're stuck with, when in reality it is people that love you that you choose to keep around. You're doing that. Just because you're related doesn't mean you owe her anything. Whether or not you tell her is your choice. I would tell her privately, just so she can't say crap about me doing so. But it sounds like there isn't much of a relationship there to worry about, so it doesn't seem like a big deal. Oldest Crone says, you're the a-hole. You're an adult. Act like it. If your stepmom wants you to inherit, she can put you in her will. If she wants you to be able to make health decisions for her, she can designate you as DPOA. If you want to ensure that she gets custody of your son if necessary, see a lawyer now about the paperwork. All of these scenarios you give as reasons for a proposed bad act would have to be legally set anyway. None of these is a good reason for what you are about to do to your mom. Of course, your stepmom is agreeable to this bad act. She is the second wife, and this bad act would help her push your mom even more out of the picture. Do not do this. It is not necessary to inflict that much pain and damage on your mom. There is no way back from this. And OP responds, as I've already stated, those things are not my driving factors, although the adoption does simplify things in those regards. I want to go through with the adoption because I love my stepmom, have the utmost respect for her, and had viewed her as my mother for a decade. I want to honor her, and despite not giving birth to me, she has been my real mom in every other aspect. And she has always tried to encourage me to have a healthy relationship with my bio mom. I simply cannot respect my bio mom as a mother due to previous actions spanning my lifetime. The adoption is being done out of love, not malicious reasons. I just want to know if I'd be the a-hole for not giving my mom a heads up because I want to avoid her drama and theatrics. Additional information from OP's comments. I haven't really considered myself her child for a long time, but I understand she probably feels differently. I guess I just want to avoid hearing her say anything negative about it. The whole process is essentially the same as adopting a minor. I would be legally considered my stepmom's daughter for all intents and purposes, inheritance, medical, etc. The only big difference is that where I live, my stepmom can adopt me without my bio mom's knowledge or consent, as long as I consent to be adopted. I did the same with my pregnancy announcement and didn't get any negativity about it, but then again, maybe just because there was now a grandchild in play. Anyway, I just want to avoid the drama and theatrics my bio mom is known to pull. Alright, well, the community gave us the full span of judgment, from not the a-hole to you're the a-hole, and a little bit of projection on the side. And OP was also able to give us a little bit more context regarding her relationship with her mom. So now, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. So, the adoption hearing was this past Thursday. It was meant to be last month, but got pushed back due to the freak snowstorm we had. It was online through Zoom, and it only took 10 to 15 minutes to speak to the judge and get the papers signed. After that was done, I called my bio mom and spoke with her about our relationship before finally telling her about the adoption. I told her that my decision wasn't meant to be malicious or hurt her in any way, that it was something that would make me happy and that it didn't mean we couldn't still have a relationship. She took the news pretty well and said that she'd always love me and be my mom regardless of what a piece of paper says. The call ended on a good note, and I'm hopeful that things will stay that way. My parents and I, along with my significant other and son, then had a yummy celebratory breakfast and an overall great day. We didn't post about the adoption on social media until a few hours after my bio mom and I had our conversation, but we did get an outpouring of love from friends and family once we shared the news. I know I originally anticipated this update being filled with lots of drama, but I'm happy to have been wrong, it seems. Edit to add, since some users thought this would be included. Before telling her about the adoption, I did discuss with her my hesitation at letting her have a relationship with my son during our conversation regarding our relationship. I also made it clear that if my rules and boundaries regarding me and my child weren't followed, she wouldn't be in his life. Thank you to everyone for the kind words, support, and awards. It truly means a lot. Well, OP, I'm gonna count this as a happy update. No drama ensued, just a sharing of some feelings and you doing what you wanted to do in the first place, which was to be adopted by your stepmother. So congratulations, OP, and all the best in the future. Thanks for sharing and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.